The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
What up? What is happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. And on the phone line is the very funny comedian known as Jason Lawhead. He is live on Hoppe Hour. What's up, dude?
Hey man, I'm on Hoppe Hour. It sounds like hopped up hour. You're excited about this? I like this. You just went from like, hey man, how you doing? Like, how we know each other? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know Chad and Joe and those guys anyway. Yeah, I'm working down here in Tampa. You ready to go? Yeah. Hey man, all right. I like it, dude. I like it. I was thrown in a blender right there, but this is awesome. It's good to be on the show, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, man, don't you you're a very talented guy, and people with talent, I would say I have somewhat of talent. You're not the same person when you're performing and then you're off air. I mean, when I go to Mickey D's, I'm like, can I have 2 McDoubles and a Coke? Like, you kind of have a performance person and then your personal self. Because, dude, all the time at events or when I got seen in Cleveland, people were like, you're not the same as you are on air. It's like you have like a different side of you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt, man. I did a little radio back in my younger days. Not like I did more of the sports, kind of local high school sports scene stuff. But, yeah, I mean, I fell into a kind of character of myself during those games. I would do sometimes play-by-play, sometimes color commentary of, like, local high school stuff back in Lorain County. And, yeah, I mean, there was a guy I was behind that mic that differed from the guy I am, but not off like a, alternate personality, just a, slightly sloped character. And that was not racist in any. I did not mean that in any racist remark.
Now, me and you have more in common besides working in Cleveland and knowing Chad Zumock and Joe Howard. I visited Chicago, because that's where I'm from, last week, and my plane got canceled on Monday, just like your plane when you went from Cleveland and you're trying to go back to Los Angeles. How much of a fucking bitch was that, dude? Oh, my God.
Well, it was terrible because, I mean, listen, I fly Southwest most of the time.
Yeah.
Because, first off, you at least were in Chicago. You had 2 airports. You have some options. Listen, nobody goes straight through Cleveland, okay?
Yeah.
There's not an airline. Let me tell you something. Learjets make layovers on their way to Cleveland, okay? Like, nobody goes straight through. It's not a destination city. So to try to get back to L.A. over the Mississippi River, I love it when people are like, dude, just drive. I'm like, do you know why I can't fly, right? Because every state along the Mississippi has crested. What do you want me to drive to? Iowa and just look across the river? What do people do? Drive to... So every airport in the region had nothing going to L.A. So finally there was some seats left. None that would guarantee me, because of the weather that hadn't, subsided yet. There was so many grounded planes. So finally, I found a first-class ticket on American. Had to bite a bullet a bit and get over there. But it was worth it. I got there for the shows. On Thursday, I flew in. I landed about Thursday on New Year's Eve. So I got there to open for Burr, and I got there in time to get organized and have a good time at the Rose Bowl. We had a blast, and then I did it. I'm home. I'm on my 3rd day of just rest and recovery, and today the new year starts for me. This is my first appointment of the new year.
Now, for people who may not know what you and Bill Burr do each year, what is this special tradition you guys have at the Rose Bowl?
Well, to be honest, it started with Bill and Joe Bartnick. And I believe the January of 2009, which would have been January of 2009. That's correct. Which would have been the 2008 season. They went together. I think it was Penn State and USC. And then the next year, they decided to go again, and I was going because Ohio State and was playing Oregon. And I was So I met them there, and there was no real tailgate to speak of other than a little thing that they had out of the back of Bill's car, two guys. And then we had so much fun, we were like, we should just do this every year. Bill said that we're doing it every year. So then Bill brought along another guy, and we've had 4 guys for a long time. We've added a couple of other bodies that come to the tailgate. And this year there was a group of 10 this year at the tailgate, biggest one ever. And it's just turned into it. So this was my 7th. It was Joe and Bill's 8th. And it would have been with Andrew came in the following year. So he's got one behind me, and then a couple other guys have trickled in on a few just tailgate appearances. But that's the 4 that have gone to the game every year for the last at least 6 to 7. And that was a lot of recall. I was just sitting here staring at my ceiling, doing all that math in my head.
Now, is it one of those things where it's just you guys drinking like brews, or do some crazy shenanigans go down?
Oh, I mean, come on. We get. I don't know, without kissing and telling too much. Yeah, we get the heaters out, as we call them, early. We're doing shots. We're there by 7. This year we were there before 7 a.m.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, the game's not till 2:30. So we're setting up. I cook some breakfast sandwiches in the morning. We get all the grills set up for what we're going to eat right before game time, and we hang out and pop a tent. And this year, we had 10 guys, 2 vehicles. We pop a tent. We got all kinds of everything that you need. And we're boozing and we're doing shots. We got a Bloody Mary bar up by 7 a.m., 7:15 this year, and then we're doing Bloody Marys. We're doing shots of whiskey. We're drinking beers, and then eventually, I whip around, make some breakfast sandwiches for everybody, and then throw the ribs and everything on, and those things cook for a few hours, and then by noon or 12:30, we're eating a big old feast, and some people are passed out, resting for the game. Some people take their guys take their naps. Guys do what they got to do because we've been boozing all morning. And then, by noon, you need to rest up a little bit sometimes if you need to. 2 o'clock kickoff. We're over at the stadium for kickoff. We watch the game. We come back. We pop up to camp again. We throw some burgers on one of them, throw a little fire while everybody leaves. It's cold at night. By the time the sun sets, it's the end of the third quarter. And we just kick it there till about, this year, till about 8 p.m. Some other years we've kicked it there till 9 p.m.
Isn't it weird how you just said it's cold, but when you compare it to Cleveland or Chicago, which I've been to both towns, I live there, and I live in Tampa, isn't it weird how we find that cold, but then when you go home to the Midwest, you're like, fuck, it's really not that cold with where we live?
Yeah, I mean, it's not in your bone marrow cold, but it's still I've lived out here long enough where, it's still down in a valley. It's cut down in that valley in Pasadena, which gets even cooler down there in the winter at night. So, I mean, it's still 40 degrees is still 40 degrees. It may not be off the lake 40 degrees that has a, barometric pressure making it feel like minus 10 or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still 40. I mean, it's still nighttime and it's 40 degrees. I mean, I don't give a shit who you are. I'm old enough to complain about that. You know what I mean? I'm not 24 anymore. I'm switch those numbers around, and then I'm able to complain about how cold it is.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, but it's just I hate when people who are from there bitch, and you're it's so cold. It's shut up.
Yeah, no, I'm not bitching about it. I'm just saying that's kind of the deed. We have to sit. We throw some firewood out there. We have to sit in the whole thing. But I mean, it's the greatest. What I look forward to every year. That's why I was so depressed. When I felt when they told us you're off the plane, there's nothing to LA for the next 3 days because all previous holiday travel was already booked. You're not going to get out of here till January 3rd. Southwest wasn't going to get me out till January 3rd. I mean, that was it. There's no I fly. I'm not elite, but I've flown enough to be whatever A class or whatever, and they couldn't do anything for me till January 3rd. So, I mean, that's why I was so bummed out, and I was like, man, there was only some seats fluctuating around. It was hard to find on the first day. Seats were getting snatched up all over Cleveland and that region, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Detroit. I mean, everything was horrible. 2,000-some flights were canceled.
Yeah, it was insane, dude.
This stuff was on the national. This was the opening to the national news. like on Brokaw or whatever, not Brokaw, but whatever those guys are. Scott Pelley, or whoever the hell it was.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Those guys, that's what they were talking about at the top of the hour. Like, so I didn't think I had a chance, and then finally it came through. And let me tell you something. It's only the second time I ever flown first class in my life, and the first time I got bumped into it, and it was a red-eye flight. I don't really remember much of the experience because I slept. And this time, I got to tell you, I got to just fly. I got to find a way to fly first class for the rest of my life. I was sitting there watching coach passengers board and just looking, thinking to myself, is this what I look like? I mean, these people are disgusting. Like, don't look. I was like, by the eighth person, I was like, yeah, I don't want to make eye contact with any of these mules. They all look like mules. I feel like that's what I look like. I look like a mule walking down there.
Dude, going to the airport is weird because I hadn't done it in 5 years, but I'm 22 years old, so whenever I've gone, it was with my parents. But now that I'm in my 20s and I'm an adult, per se, I like to people watch. And with all the planes being canceled and everything being delayed, wasn't it madness at your airport? Because at O'Hare, with everything going on, dude, it was just utter madness. Like, people are drunk. There's this dumb bitch I keep saying, I've been here since 5, over and over. And it's just, it was utter madness because you could feel the anxiety over and over. It was quite the scene.
Well, mine was so early in the morning, and yes, it was crazy. Cleveland's under construction. They're just trying to get this place is a zoo over here. They got half the pickup parts of it, and then baggage claim just walled off and shit. So it's a mess. There's nowhere. There's like construction walls everywhere. It looks like Hopkins Airport looks like what they're doing to it right now. Looks like the inside of the building of like a mall or something. Like
Are you serious?
It's nothing but drywall just blocked off everywhere. So there's nowhere for anybody to go. And I just had to get out. I mean, there was nothing. There was no hope. I was sitting on the plane on the way to Nashville. They said, unless you're going to Nashville. I mean, I walked up there. I was like, come on, dude. Well, what can you do? Because this thing was going from Nashville to Pensacola. The actual plane was. I was supposed to get off in Nashville and take a Nashville to L.A. All those were canceled going west, Austin. Everything else from Nashville going west was canceled. I asked the guy, can I get to Pensacola? If I get to Pensacola, is there something in Pensacola? No, nothing's coming over on that side of the country. All this shit. I'm like, dude, I won't. I said, your cocktail napkin says something about Grand Cayman or Cozumel. Can you fly me through Cozumel? I will take Pensacola to Cozumel and Cozumel somewhere west. He's like, nah, Jesus Christ, man. I'm holding this cocktail napkin. I'm like, any of these islands that you fly to, I'll go to Mexico. Where do you need me to go? There was no, I had no luck, man. So, I was just hoping and praying. And then finally one seat opened up on the United. It was like 2,300 one way. I was like, Jesus, I couldn't do that. Luckily, there was an American for like 1,500. And, you do what you do, and God bless it, to get back there. It was great, I mean, I got to do the shows. It was Bertie, Bill, and Joe. It was awesome. My girl got to come backstage and with her mom on New Year's Eve, and the Orpheum, got to see all that kind of cool stuff go down. So it's all worth it, man, because it's what I look forward to. And then I had a show. Now, every year, we've only done a show one other time, a couple of years ago. So I had a show in this mix, plus this, and then, and even to go, the game was a blowout. We've seen some great ones. Last year, we saw the semifinal game, which was a great game until the third quarter when Oregon broke it open late in the third. But we've seen some, saw Andy Dalton play there for TCU. Great games we've seen. Michigan State, Stanford a couple of years ago. So I look for that 7 or I don't want to. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life, if I can, is go to the Rose Bowl every January 1st, or whenever, if it's another day. Because one year it was on January 2nd. Because when Sunday falls on January 1st, they don't compete with the NFL, so they go to January 2nd.
Speaking of the NFL, how awful of a year was this? I probably watched 5 games, and I was at the bar last night, and I had no intention of watching the San Diego Chargers game or Broncos or the Buccaneers were on down here. Dude, I think the NFL is going downhill, man. This was one of the worst seasons of all time.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I can't disagree with that sentiment, man. I mean, I think the NFL has, you know, definitely has a weird kind of vibe to it. It's like this, you know, the NFL's like this dude that you know that you might be friends with, and you know he might, like, behind closed doors slap his girlfriend around. You're not sure, like, what you should do or say about it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's but this thing that's like, dude, I like hanging out with the guy. He still comes up with some fucking doozies, man. I tell you what, the dude's a classic. I mean, you know what I mean? And you just like, and then when he leaves, you're just like, dude, man, I shouldn't probably return that guy's texts anymore. But, you know, so there's always, like, you know, it's kind of like a weird friend that you need to keep on the outskirts.
Yeah.
You're just like,
it's sort of like the one friend who you know is banging girls on the side and has like 3 kids and is married, and you're friends with his wife, and you see them at the table, and you're just like, oh, he's banging girls on the side. It's one of those things too.
He's always like lying about the responsibilities he's fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like, you're just always like, yeah. He's like, oh, I spent time with my kids. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't buy groceries for the families. So just whatever. It's weird, but the NFL is interesting. I like to bash on it. I still, you know, I mean, I've always said, even over the years, you get my podcast, other podcasts, I'm a college football fan first, you know. I like the spirit these guys have before they go in there and get all turned into this, like, Frankenstein monster factory that the NFL seems to churn out.
Now, since you are from Cleveland, I want to get your take. What is your take on Manziel? I think there are plenty of guys who drink harder and party harder than him, and I think the media is very unfair to him, and I think he's getting a very bad rap. I think he does a lot of bad choices, Jason, but I think at the end of the day, this dude needs a break. What do you think of Manziel?
I mean, I don't see how you can even believe what you're saying. Because,
I believe it. I really do. I'm not saying...
No. I'm talking about the world we live in and the realistic, all of it. I can't believe that's what you... I can't believe you actually think that we live in a world that's capable of even giving this a break and then him continuing the behavior he continues. Listen, people say, oh, Namath drank and this guy drank. Yeah, those guys also were Pro Bowlers, or they at least won something that and the other thing is these guys, Namath was hanging out with Sinatra, okay? The guy wasn't playing flip cup at a fraternity party. You know what I mean? Okay? So, with a cell phone. So, listen, so there's a lot of different ways you can interpret this. And my whole thing is you're a Heisman Trophy winner that does, you know, Johnny Football, and even though you stopped doing the money sign, the reason you stopped doing the money sign is you weren't doing anything to do the money sign for. Okay?
Yeah.
Listen, here's what you say. So, you want to give them a break. I want to tell you that since that franchise decided we're changing over the keys at 7-5 last year with Brian Hoyer, we're changing over the keys at 7-5. Is Johnny's football's team here from here on out? I mean, at the time we were in tied for first place in the AFC North. We hand over the keys at 7-5. Since then, as a football franchise, we've gone 3-17. The 3 teams we beat this year were Tennessee, Baltimore, and the 49ers, who had a combined record of 13-35. This guy has been nothing short of everything that has been printed and done and said, because he's never learned. He went to this quote-unquote rehab, and then all he did was not abide by it. Now, Sunday morning, this guy's supposed to, NFL rules, every Sunday, ruled out for a concussion, you have to report to a meeting on Sunday morning, the day of your game, to have another evaluation for your concussion. That's never showed up for. He never showed up. I mean, he wasn't even in Cleveland. He was in Las Vegas, reportedly.
Would you have motivation if Mike was your coach? Would you have motivation if you had no talent on a team? I'm not defending him. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying.
No, that's no excuse. Yes, you have motivation. You have motivation to be the only one out of anybody that's going to do something. Let me tell you something. The way the Cleveland Browns defense played the week before last in Kansas City and the amount of starting field position he got in the second half, shut out Kansas City. There isn't a quarterback in the NFL, not one working today, that could have lost that game. There's no way. Ryan Mallett picked up off the scrap heap by the Ravens that week, went in and beat the Steelers, who are going to the Super Bowl, damn near knocked them out if the Jets would have took care of business. Ryan Mallett. We had a defensive performance in the second half of Kansas City that no quarterback working in the NFL could have lost, especially with the amount of times the field position he started with in that second half and the amount of times we were somewhat either in the red zone or inside of it and pulled away because of the guy threw the ball to an offensive lineman.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
To an offensive lineman. He threw a post pattern when because he doesn't know the playbook. When Benjamin Renza, he throws it just to the corner of the end zone to the logo. He throws it up and out of bounds and overthrows the receiver on the sideline in the same drive. I mean, this guy is not an NFL quarterback. I don't know why people think like, oh, he's just not. I mean, I don't know what anybody is basing anything on. His numbers stink. Last time he started against the Steelers, we scored 9 points. People were like, oh, if Johnny was in there, maybe it would have been different. Based on what? We got 3 field goals against Pittsburgh last time. We got 10 points against Kansas City. The defense shut him out in the second half, and he couldn't even go tie the game. I mean, he had all those. What are we? They're 3-17 since. We've beaten nobody. I don't understand what anybody is basing anything on that he has any type of future in the NFL. He's just a little guy. He's just a little guy, and he can't play football at that level. Yeah, he could look, oh, man, if Johnny flashes of brilliance, he had that one run. That's like saying you're going to be a great comic because if you did an hour and 15 in a theater, you got 4 minutes to laugh. Are you kidding me? So that you're going to, oh, dude, this guy, dude, he can definitely be a theater actor. No, he can't. I just saw him do an hour and 15 at the Orpheum, and he got 4 minutes to laugh. Yeah, but that poor dude, that was a really good bit. I don't care. He stinks. I don't care if it was a good bit. This guy stinks.
There's so much passion in your voice.
He stinks at what he does. Well, he stinks at what he does. And then he runs out, and he's I'm not going to let it. Dude, on the bye week, Coach, I'm not going to let you down. I'm not going to be good. He's in a freaking, the guy's playing he's playing whatever. The guy's playing flip cup, or he's playing, what's the one with the ping pong ball?
Beer pong.
He's playing drinking games, beer pong. The guy's 23, he's playing NFL quarterback of a franchise. He's playing drinking games at a college campus on his bye week. That's what, yes.
It's his bye week. It's his choice, dude. Your coach is a bum.
He's not prepared. He's not winning. He's not learning the playbook. He stinks. That's not, no. If you want to do that, you better have Aaron Rodgers numbers. If you want to go hang out on the bye week, you better have that team in first place. And guess what? The city of Cleveland, well, let me tell you something. They will buy him everything. But I'm going to tell you something. He doesn't. If you went anywhere, could you imagine? They dare say he's going to go to Dallas. You think doing this and then losing with him doing this in Dallas, it's you can carry a gun there. He's going to get killed in Dallas if he acts like this and they lose, if he's their quarterback. Are you kidding me?
I will say this. I love how they think him going to the Cowboys is going to be so great for him. This is the same scumbag organization that embraced a wife beater that beat up his girl over and over. This is the same organization that wanted Brandon Whedon as the backup.
But Greg Hardy produces.
Ugh.
See, that's the difference. At least, let me tell you something. As horrible as that dude is, at least he produces.
It's a good point.
Listen, if we were going to the playoffs this year on the back of Johnny Manziel, he could throw a bitch out of his car on the side of the highway once a week for all I care. If they don't arrest him for it, and we're going to play, like, listen, I'm talking on the side of my mouth on that, but at least Greg Hardy produces. I mean, Johnny, what does he produce? Nothing. He's produced nothing. And Brian Hoyer and Brandon Whedon are going to the playoffs.
Here's what I think. I think the biggest problem is his whole life, he's been the rich kid that's had everything given to him. He's always been the best on the team, and I think his ego can't handle the fact that he has to earn the spot. And I don't think his ego can handle the fact that for once he has to actually work for it. I think that's one of his biggest problems.
I think I will agree with the earlier part of that statement, but I won't agree with the end of it, because I don't even think he grasps on it. I don't think he has the depth to understand how it affects his ego. I believe, yes, the early part of I tweeted the other day, Johnny Affluenza. That's what he is. He's got affluenza. He doesn't even realize the depth of his ego and how all this is affecting it. Because if he had an ego that it bothered, he would actually probably look out for it better.
That's a good point. I mean,
no, he would look out for his ego better if he actually cared on how it looked. So I can't buy that he even has the depth to understand that part of the emotion because of what you said earlier. He's Johnny Affluenza. He got to just run around all over he wanted in Texas A&M, and it was like watching a clip of an old 1950 reel watching him play college football. He's basically a 1955 Heisman Trophy winner.
It's a very good point.
And he always had that, and he just got to have that. And, even when he was at college, there was video of him starting fights, going on to parties on UT in Austin, Texas's campus, and just riling people up. And that's what he does. You ever seen the movie Weird Science? I know you're young. I didn't know you were that young till you told me. You ever seen the movie Weird Science?
I think I saw it like 10 years ago, but I can't recall much of it.
Anyway, he's Robert Downey Jr. in that movie. Yeah, so that's who he is. And, kid gloves. No, you can't, you know what? You can't treat that with kid gloves. That's not what's going to enable him to be a better player. It's just he's either got it or he doesn't, and he doesn't. It's obviously that he doesn't. I mean, if he did, he would have shown some type of progression, and so would have the team, because that team was progressing before he got the keys to it. And it's 3-17 since.
What about your coach? I didn't like the fact when they asked him if they knew if Manziel was in Vegas or not. He's like, well, I can't say for sure. It's like, dude, you're the coach of an NFL team. Shouldn't you have that handled? Like, he just seemed like he lost touch with the team. He couldn't manage the clock. He didn't know who to play. Like, dude, he's a loser, man.
Yeah, well, Mike Pettine is not the answer at the NFL head coaching position. I think that, there was a lot more problems deep-rooted more than that, way beyond Pettine. But by the time, the last 4 press conferences, he was basically sloganing for his job. And I think that's just a question he didn't want to answer at the point, because he knew he was fired. And what does he really care at the end of the day? Johnny didn't help him keep his job, that's for sure. But Johnny also didn't get him fired. So at the end of the day, Pettine knew at the end of last season that, the front office is going to do what they do. He's going to try to not play Johnny because Johnny wasn't ready, and he obviously knew that. I'll give Pettine credit. I think deep down, he actually, had to do what the front office wanted him to do, and the pressure on to play Johnny last year. And, but I think that deep down he knew that Johnny wasn't ready to be the NFL quarterback to win the games that he wanted to win, and I don't think he could coach that team the way the front office wanted it to be coached.
Do you think ever in your lifetime this team will be good, man? I mean, it's just they're so fucked up. It's unreal. Like at this point, when Kozar went on 92.3 The Fan and was talking about how he wants to run the team, you might as well try that. You have all these losers coming in. At least Kozar would show some passion. Like, what do you think?
Well, I think that Bernie, would be maybe a great figurehead. I'm not sure what kind of GM he would make, just because he has passion for the team, passion for the game. I mean, I think that definitely looking at some ex-players that have been in Cleveland and been successfar for us is a way to really build a front office. I do believe that. I believe that putting a Kozar in a position that is close to player personnel and evaluating talent is a very good move. Putting him in the control seat with his finger on the button, I'm not sure we just throw him in that unless we see, what he can do in a front office position, and going out and maybe looking at some other guys in the past that, have been working in maybe other organizations, that maybe even played for us for a couple of years, that, have a good head on their shoulder and are looking to move up the ranks. And, there's a lot of good people out there in football doing a lot of good jobs. We just don't seem to get them.
If you were given the chance to run the team, what would be the first thing you would do? Like, what would be your thing to fix first?
Well, the first thing I would do, I wouldn't even announce it, though. There wouldn't even be a press conference for it. There wouldn't even be an announcement. You would just notice it in the first game. I'd take the uniforms back to with the original. There's no stupid, Browns down the side, Cleveland on the jersey, none of that crap. I'd go back to that. That wouldn't even be announced. And then what I would do is I would try to throw a lot of money at a head coach first that I think might be able to run the team. From that standpoint. And, right now I would go right after Sean Payton and John Gruden first, but I think he likes what he's doing. I'd go after Sean Payton. I'd go after New Orleans with Sean Payton, and I'd try to go get a pretty good quarterback. In the draft, I'm not sure, but, somebody that I think Sean Payton can mold. I mean, he did amazing work with Drew Brees, and you can definitely, have a quarterback that doesn't have the quote unquote natural physique and tools be successful in the NFL. And do I think Johnny Manziel? No, I don't think Johnny Manziel is Drew Brees, but I think that you can go out there and possibly get somebody in a draft that looks really good in a system that can step in and can learn under Sean Payton and be a serious person, be a leader, be somebody that wants to learn the playbook and, didn't have the Heisman Trophy kind of just handed to him and everything else in life. And, you got to go get somebody hungry with will. And I don't think Johnny has really much hunger, and I don't see a whole lot of will in there either.
Do you think it's one of those things where they'll never be good? Like, is there just this vibe and certain pressure when a player joins the team where it's never going to change? Or could they find somebody that could finally change the factory of sadness, man? I mean, like, what's the biggest issue?
Of course. I mean, you can always, of course, anything. I mean, it'll certainly change. I mean, I think that that the fan base, the one thing is Wisconsin is it's an amazing fan base, and it's an amazing place to play if you're, even when you're playing bad, those fans are there, so God imagine what that fan base and how that would feel to be in a organization that had turned it around and won. So it definitely can happen. I mean, before Belichick got to New England, and it was a graveyard for most of its, NFL existence, at least since the merger. And a lot of places, have been able to turn things around. I mean, most of the times it's ebbs and flows, but, hey, there was if you ever saw the Natural, the movie The Natural, there was a great, they were losing when Roy Hobbs joined the team, and there was a doctor saying, losing is a disease. Much like cholera, it's contagious. And it is, man. It's just, you got to break the contagion. Yeah, I think you need a really, really good football coach and because you have some decent players, and get some really good football players and let them do their job instead of getting bad football coaches and bad football players and then just blowing up parking lots constantly. I mean, I don't know why the Cleveland Browns can't find that.
Dude, imagine how much Cleveland would embrace that team. They would embrace an offensive lineman if he showed up to a bar for an appearance. I mean, that city is so passionate about their sports, about their comedy, about their radio. I mean, imagine how happy Cleveland would be, dude, if you guys were to get a winner, man. I mean, it's just sad how it just seems so unreal that would ever happen.
Yeah, I mean, it seems far off. It seems it really becomes more and more an impossibility. It's funny because in the middle of the season last year, I really thought things were turned around. I mean, I knew Hoyer is not some All-Pro every year, All-Pro quarterback, but an improving team going into a season, making a turn into this one would have been a really fun thing to look forward to in 2015. But instead, a team that had some promise was blown up like a parking lot, and when it turned the corner into the next draft and on to 2015, there was so many just bad feelings, bad vibes, and the whole farmer incident, and the taxi. I mean, just constant failures and tripping over yourselves with it, whether it be the draft or off-field decisions, and just it's amazing, that it just continues to bungle the way it bungles. I mean, even the Bengals got there. The Browns have fired the last 5 AFC North coaches that have been fired in that division have been Browns coaches. The last non-Brown coach to be fired in the AFC North was Brian Billick in Baltimore, and they won a Super Bowl with that guy. That's how pathetic. The Browns have hired and fired 5 coaches in that time that the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers have never changed a coach.
Do you think there's this thing where, since Cleveland isn't the most flashy city, I love my time there. The fans of the show were unreal. They were great. But do you think it's one of those things where there's sort of an unhappiness with the town? I mean, the sun doesn't come out a lot. There's factories all over the place. Do you think there's a thing where when someone gets hired, they're glad they play in the NFL, but it's more like, I'm in Cleveland? Do you think there's a possibility of that?
I think that could be a pre-notion. I believe that can exist as a pre-notion.
Yeah.
But I really believe that, especially when you're a professional athlete that actually cares about winning and wanting to play football and being really kind of appreciative of the ability to play it, I think you just want to play for a winner. So I think that if if you're in Cleveland and you're losing, man, that really sucks. But if you're in Cleveland and you're winning, if you only want to spend a certain amount of time that you're working there, you can. If you want to live where you grew up, you can in the off season. And I don't think it plays that much big of a role. I think if your eyes are on other things outside of the game and wanting to capitalize in other ventures besides your job on the court or the field, then I guess other cities would be more attractive in a pre-notion standpoint. But I think guys want to win, and they'll embrace the city that loves them. I mean, you see it a lot. You see guys that I mean, if the Colts wouldn't have gone and drafted Andrew Luck, Manning would have been there forever. So Indianapolis and places like that. So, he could have gone anywhere he wanted. But I think Cleveland is a desirable city for a professional athlete if they play on a winner. And I think they are pleasantly surprised by the culture and the arts. I mean, we have one of the largest theater districts in any region in the United States other than New York, Chicago, D.C. perhaps. But it's larger than LA's theater district. It's larger than most large cities' theater districts. It's got, major sports teams. It's got great restaurants. It's got, celebrity chefs. You said a great comedy scene. Music and so many other, the medical fields. It's a cool place to be if you're just kind of, enjoying a city for what, it has to offer. So I think Cleveland always pleasantly surprised people that go there. It's just, it's the pre-notion sometimes that gets Cleveland. Is really, that's all it is the bad rap of Cleveland is this pre-notion.
Yeah, it's sad how much hate you guys get. I mean, you guys are in like Camden, New Jersey or Gary, Indiana. I mean, I liked my time in Cleveland. People are nice. I liked living in Lakewood. I mean, what is it about Cleveland that gets so much hate? Is it just how the media makes fun of it? Because I think it's pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an always sunny in Philadelphia situation in Cleveland. But, it's a great place to be at in the summer on that, north coast, the South Shore of Lake Erie right there. People don't realize, until they come there and they have Cedar Point and, all the boating and fishing that you can do and amazing golf courses. The summers in Ohio, all through the state, but northern Ohio are great. And, winters are cold and brutal. But you said it right, man. The people are awesome. They're cool. They're nice. They're not fake. They welcome you in, and if you're welcoming back, you're there. You're there to stay. So it's got a lot of great reasons why somebody, especially a pro athlete, that a lot of times is under a microscope of scrutiny in big markets, would love to come to Cleveland, because if you come here and just do your job. And especially win, you're going to be a hero. Even if you come here and lose, as long as you do your job and people see you caring, you're going to be a hero too. Because, our expectations have unfortunately sunk to a level that we just want somebody that wants to care about playing for us,
Now, you just said how everybody in Cleveland is real and likable. How is Los Angeles? It gets a vibe a lot that it's fake and it's full of douchebags. How has the experience been for you?
Well, there's douchebags everywhere.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people in LA, so there's a lot of them here. But there's a lot of great people. Like I have great friends. It's a smaller circle because my real friends, and I've always said this, it doesn't matter if I moved to LA or Seattle or wherever, I would just probably always naturally find a smaller circle of friends in the relocation city, because I have so many great friends and family that I grew up with that are always be in that, that always circle, you know what I mean? So, but I find the good people to hang out with, and even my casual friends and acquaintances are great people, and you realize, you just find those ones. And yeah, if you want to go attach yourself to, douchebags, you can anywhere, in any city, but yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot more people here with a headshot and an agenda, so those numbers increased. But listen, I came here as an older guy. I'd lived for a while. I didn't start doing stand-up until I was 31. By the time I came to LA, I was in my late 30s, and I had already lived life enough with real people and know how to see somebody from a mile away. So luckily, I wasn't kind of coming out here too young and greenhorny and not knowing, who was maybe, coming into your life for the wrong intentions or toxic. So I don't know. I hear that all the time, and people ask me, and my answer is just kind of like, hey, man, people suck everywhere, but, you just find the ones that don't. And if you're lucky, you hang on to those ones.
What are some of the best parts about Los Angeles for you?
My apartment bedroom. That's the best part of LA is my bedroom. I like sleeping in my bed when I'm here because, I work the road sometimes. My girlfriend lives in San Diego, so that's what I like. But no, Griffith Park, I live near Griffith Park, which is awesome. It's like the Central Park of LA, and, the Greek theaters inside of Griffith Park. There's some golf courses. I like to golf there occasionally once in a while, and it's got great hikes and stuff like that. So LA, I like that. There's some cool things to do. The Getty Museums. There's a lot of cool things to do in LA. Alvaro Street downtown, like the little Old Town area. There's a lot of cool things to do for actually either cheap or nothing if you want to. Some of the museums and some of the parks, and it's cool, man. I mean, you can the nice thing about, here's what I like. Like, I love Cleveland. I love the people. I'll never ever not call, like Cleveland and Lorraine, never not call that home. That's the real home. And I more or less live out here for what I do. But I will say this, it's nice to be able to do something, know you're going to do it, and know that There's never a chance that the plans will cancel because of weather. I mean, you just nothing's ever going to be, oh, my God, we can't golf today because it's thundering all morning long or, no. None of that. Oh, man, we had shows getting canceled because there was a whiteout blizzard. No, none of that. Even when there's fires, just life goes on. People just keep doing what they're doing.
Now, dude, before I let you go, where can people find your work online and where are some of your upcoming shows?
Yeah, so, I'm going to be at the Laugh Factory in Scottsdale, Arizona, January 21st through the 24th. I'm going to be at the Hollywood Improv this Wednesday, 10 o'clock show, January 6th. And working on a couple other dates in San Diego for this month. But you can check me out at my website, jasonlawhead.com, LAWHEAD. You can get everything there, man. You can get my Twitter, my YouTube, you subscribe to my podcast, see my dates, check out videos, all that stuff, all my social media you can attach to. Right at jasonlawhead.com. It's a one-stop shop. So, that's about the best way to get a hold of me.
Well, dude, keep up the good work. I've been a big fan for a while now, so it's been a lot of fun having you on the show, man.
This was cool. Well, I'm glad you called and got in contact. It was fun talking to you, Ryan, and I'll definitely share. Good luck with the podcast and everything, and keep trucking, man. Life's a journey. Just keep playing. Keep playing it. You're young and have fun, man.
Sounds good, bro. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.